Okay, make sure you mute the stream if we are playing one another. Don't be a sneak artist. No. C5, Sicilian land. Okay. Close Sicilian. I guess we're having F4. And, okay, let's go with this. It's the Grand Prix attack. ECO code B23. If you're curious to learn more about it, I don't know how much I can really offer. E6, knight E7. Now that strikes me as off. All right, I'm not too concerned about that. Wait a second. There's some tactics maybe against the bishop. Knight here. No, I take the bishop. The knight gives a check. I could play here. There might be some issue against that, but I think I think that should be quite all right. I'll be castled soon enough, and my bishop will be defended. Knight b5, bishop takes bishop, knight check, king f8, knight g5 hitting at this square. I think there's got to be something good for me. Let's see. Hopefully there is. Okay, now that the bishop is defended, let's go here. And knight b5, well, it wouldn't be coming to d6 with check at that point. So my opponent this is strictly preventative, for one thing. And I could post up on d4 with tempo on the bishop, and to be honest, I think I like that. There is a concern with the Grand Prix. Actually, this is off the idea of playing b2. The typical Grand Prix idea of castling queen e1, queen h4 with f5 and getting the bishop to h6. That's something I don't have any fear of course, since the bishop is on this different diagonal. I could take the bishop. I could pick up the bishop pair, and then follow with d5. Knight takes, knight takes. Exchange dark square bishops is a consideration because it, could I say it kind of fianchettos that rook. Makes it look a bit silly, for one. And if the position could maybe open up in files, if files can open up, okay, maybe that's not going to be a good spot. Probably not going to be a good spot. But anyhow, my other candidate moves, take the knight, probably not. d5, maybe a6. Yeah, actually a6 I think I might like. a6 with b5 expansion or just d5. No, d5, e5, my bishop is shut out of the game. I think if e5 now, I play something like d6 and break this down. I'm going to go with a6. Let's see how that bishop reacts. I spent quite a bit of time on that last move. What is he going to do? c4 is probably not a good option. Taking the knight is definitely not a good option because I recapture with the pawn and there's two minor pieces hit. One of them will fall. Okay, I think I might still want to go with this, just to get my light square bishop on this diagonal. This has my concern, actually, this pawn push. I think I might want to be in a spot to take it. Or maybe I get my knight doing something else over here. Knight here. Is knight here going to be an issue? No, I want to get my bishop on this diagonal. Let's see what white does. This has my attention, the e5 push, and what should maybe also have my attention is f5. That could be a bit disruptive to my king side. I'll consider, if f5, I'll consider taking e takes f, but I'll really shy away from taking with my g pawn. Those of you that were here a few streams ago will know that I took a beating from the chess chief in the simul. I was playing the black side, and I believe there was that f pawn push. It was not the same position, of course. Much different here, but the f5 push has my attention, in short. So I think just swing the back completely around. You do b5 to expand and develop the bishop. So I'm looking at maybe f5 myself. I'm looking at d6 and how to recapture with my bishop or my pawn. I think I like the bishop, actually. With check. Yeah, I'm going to go with this. Kick the king in the corner. He's on the same diagonal as my bishop, and I think I want to follow up with this. Yeah. Now I don't have to worry about f5. I don't know how great a move it would be, but I'm looking to break it g2. In fact, if pawn takes, I might want to actually take... Well, by default, I'm considering capturing towards the center. I do have some... I'm hesitant with maybe doing that because it does open up an avenue for the white pieces against my king. But I might want to throw my king in the corner and then play rook g8 ideas. And it may seem a bit awkward to want to do that, seeing how this guy is on the diagonal. But I'm viewing these bishops, how they're positioned right now, I'm viewing them as negating one another. I'm anticipating that the dark square bishops are just going to be off the board. In many instances, when you're left with just one bishop, you want to have your pawns on the opposite color complex of your remaining bishop, but I think there's some merit to actually still having this pawn on a light square, anticipating a dark square bishop exchange again because of putting pressure on, first and foremost, e4, but maybe even g2. Anyhow, what am I getting at? What do I want to do? What can my knight do better? What can he do better? I don't know. I'm not sure. What can my queen do? She's doing nothing. She's bad. Maybe my knight wants to be on this square. King in the corner right now. Knight g8 to f6. A little scary. Let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot. With this move, I'm pretty much saying I'm not going anywhere but this diagonal with my bishop. Okay, so the dark square bishops are off. And now I think I want to increase my pressure. I'm going home for just a moment. I want to increase my pressure on this pawn. Notice that with this bishop obstructing D, there's no way to really reinforce this as soon as I throw an additional piece on it. Okay, now I'm going to let that pawn be taken. I want to get pressure on the A file, and if pawn takes... This is going to be bad news for white, I'm pretty sure. I'm also down about a half a minute there. Just throw my knight in there. If I take here, this knight's going to make use of this square. Let's see. Actually, let me follow up with knight here. Queen out could be very, very strong. Could be very strong, actually. It could maybe be leading to mate because this pawn is pinned and powerless. So h3 really doesn't defend right now. h3 is not defending because it leads to a mate in 2. This is something I believe that white missed, and white will have to give up the queen for the knight in order to save the game. But that's just prolonging, I believe, what is the inevitable. h3 is a mate in 2. This pawn is pinned. That was missed. That's going to be a mate in 2. On h2. Nothing to do. But move there. Next move is mate. Okay. Good game. Let's see. Very, very tense middle game. We're both looking for plans, and that is far from the easiest thing to do, especially in a blitz game. Let's see about this one. So, Sicilian closed. Grand Prix. I don't know. I haven't seen really this bishop b2 idea. It's not losing, but it's just it's certainly atypical. Trying to get rid of a very important ingredient for black, the most valuable. As soon as I go with the kingside fianchetto, the most valuable minor piece, really. Without him, my king could definitely be vulnerable, but there wasn't really a way to exploit my king position. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure. Let's see. Well, maybe things are actually okay at in that final position. Bring your bishop all the way back. I'm gaining space on the queen side. Move my knight with check. Your king is now in the corner. Was there ever a possibility? What I'm doing right now is trying to find different points of the game where there might have been opportunities for certain pawn advances. Could certainly change the complexion of the game. For example, right now, instead of a3 is strictly preventative, pretty much saying, okay, you don't want to allow me to get to b4, but if I really want to get to b4, I'm going to get there with tempo on the knight. Whether or not you capture right away, your knight will eventually be kicked. So I don't know how useful a3 is. So I guess just kind of skimming this game, a3 is something to maybe not do. Don't have that as a candidate move. What about e5 for 1? To shut down my bishop and be in a position to meet b4 with knight e4. In fact, if white is to play e5 here, I'm not going to be playing b4 because I'm just kicking the knight to a square he might have already wanted to go to. So what might I do? Maybe e5 is worth considering right now. As soon as I'm threatening to kick the knight away, what about e5 right now? You get to e4, I have to worry about d6 for sure. Although e5 does allow knight f5. But I don't know what I would really even be doing there. e5, knight f5, maybe you're still going to e4. In fact, you're not just dying d6, you're putting pressure on c5. Maybe this is starting to see more than one good reason to go forward with this advance. This is something to consider. If you weren't considering it, I think it's certainly worth consideration. Maybe knowing that in this position right here, I shouldn't be going with b5. Maybe e5 turns out to be so good, I should have been going with d6 right now. Tough to say. I don't want to devote too much attention to this. It is just a blitz game, but good game. The dark square bishops come off. I think I was as clear as I could be with throwing my king in the corner, knowing that the dark square bishops are to come off. And at this point right here, I think you need to actually bring your king back to g1. Capturing this is just going to be... There's nothing to do. h3 doesn't solve anything. It's beat at this point is what I'm getting at. So the last point to really make, the king has to make use of g1, I'm pretty sure right now, or you have to stop my queen from coming out to h4, or maybe right now, actually, you could do h3, and after queen h4, you do king g1. Actually, maybe that's the better order. My first suggestion was here king g1, but what about h3? Most direct, you're hitting the knight. I have to do something. Queen h4, king g1, you're once again threatening the knight. Has to do something. I have to eventually play back to h6, and then you have something against this pawn. And once he's out of there, then of course you're able to make use of c4 and then d6. I would be on a3, but it's okay. You have to do something about that, and that's going to be a way to defend. It's easy one to miss, that pawn being pinned. h3 turns out to just not defend. Okay. Couple quick points is all. Let me close out.